Theresa May resigning would be bad for Brexit. I suspect I know the answer to this question, but do you agree?
I think she should resign. I think there should be a Labour government. I mean, there's a surprise. I think it would be in our interest to have a government that could reset our relationship with Europe, and that would be a Labour government. I think that the Tories are in all sorts of trouble here. And their basic problem is it doesn't really matter who their leader is. They don't know which way they're going. They don't know what it is that they want to achieve. There's definitely a chunk of them that want to have no deal at all, which would be definitely contrary to the British interests. And then there's another lot who kind of think, well, not quite sure, and want to actually spend their time fighting over who should be the next leader. She doesn't have enough authority. She can't lead her party. It probably would be better if we got another leader. We need to have somebody who has some authority, who can drive through the Brexit negotiations. In my view, that's Jeremy Corbyn.
I mean, you must wake on Sunday mornings at the moment with a sense of delight, perhaps even glee. I mean, lots of the papers full of talk of insurrection, of backbenchers stabbing the leader in the front, and it doesn't involve Jeremy Corbyn.
There's a bit of that, but actually my main thing is that we are getting so close to the negotiations, we're running out of time, and we're 16 months on, 17 months on, and the Tories still have no idea of where they're going, and I think they're doing so much harm to our country. And actually that's the big thing for me, is and leaving that aside, they're so wrapped up in fighting over Brexit and what it is they want to do, they can't even answer any of the other major problems that are happening in this country. All the life is sucked out of them in terms of Brexit.
So perhaps fresh blood is required then at the top of the Conservative Party.
Well, know some ideas.
Yeah, well, but if it happens, the person likeliest, according to the polls at least, to take over is Boris Johnson. In the Labour ranks, you perhaps know him as well as anyone, having been his shadow for a considerable amount of time now. What's your assessment of what a Boris Johnson premiership would look like?
I don't know, because I don't know what their ideas are. I'm sorry to keep going back to that, but that's actually what politics ought to be about. You can have a fresh face, but if you don't know where you're going, then it doesn't really matter who it is that's in charge.
Still, I mean, this has been, by all accounts, a pretty disastrous week for the Conservatives. Let's just take a look at the latest YouGov polling when it comes to, the leadership. And as things stand, despite that catastrophic speech to conference, despite all the infighting, who would make the best Prime Minister? Theresa May is still in front of Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, that must be concerning.
I think that we're going from a bad place. We've had two terrible years. I think that things have definitely turned around since the general election, or even during the general election. We had a fantastic conference. It was really enjoyable. It was very energising. I think that we're moving forward. So I think everything is to play for. And I think that as time goes on, Jeremy's leadership will become increasingly clear and increasingly important for the country.